Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Tales of Agmar podcast. I'm your host and writer, Sinjin. We've got quite a few exciting things to talk about today. Um, anyways, excuse me, before we get into anything too specific, let's just cover those basics like we cover every week. So, as usual, if you'd like to, we've got a plug for the Discord and Ko-fi down below. The Discord is, as always, going to be free. Just a cool place to interact with me and other people that love the cast, love the universe of Tales of Agmar. And it's going to be exciting. My hopes for it is it just becomes a big platform where we can just all talk to each other, enjoy some good laughs, maybe decide some fates of future portrayals for Tales of Agmar in terms of maybe past books. If we get to that point where we're doing stuff outside of books, because I know a lot of people do adaptations of books and like different universes into movies, video games, animations, that kind of stuff. And I've seen some really good ones, and like most of you, I've also seen some really bad ones. And so I feel like being an author and really just a storyteller in general, I would almost just want to do everything in-house. That's my thought process right now. I just do a lot of stuff in-house so that I have more control over it all, which plays into a whole nother, can of worms, but we're not going to worry about that today. And then the Ko-fi, it's like a tip jar. Just if you're liking it, you have some extra dough, feel free to contribute. If you don't, that's totally okay, because we've got a really big, exciting thing, which, sorry, I'm going to have to stall with one more item, and that is that these new episodes, they come out every Monday, 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Now, let's get to that really exciting part that I just talked about and then sidestepped away from. The book has now fully been written. Now, what I mean by that is it's not like done. It's not out in print or anything. So sorry if you got your hopes up during the last 5 seconds. That's not where we're at. Actually, right now, what I mean by it's done is in its entirety, I've written all the chapters that I want to write about it. Everything is down on the pages inside of a document on my computer. So, let's all hope that my computer doesn't die on me and that the cloud can also save it if that does happen. But, right, so it's done. Huge chunk done. I've spent the last year just really writing tons of it, making sure that I was spending every day that I could working on that manuscript, and it's here. It's done. It's completed. Over 100,000 words. I'm super excited. Now, what does that mean for you guys? Well, for starters, it means we're getting closer to you guys actually being able to read it. All right. Before we can get there, I'm just going to lay this out for you. So it's going to take some time, but I feel like this is an exciting announcement that anyone that's really enjoying the universe so far would like to hear at this point. And yeah, so here we go. Right now, I'm focusing on what I'm calling like a storyboard edit. Basically, I'm running through, making sure that the characters are all named the same, just in case I randomly swap names with someone, because I know I forgot someone's name halfway through, and I didn't want to go back and grab their name. So yeah, I got to figure out where I stopped using their name, and then go in there, add some edits there. That shouldn't take too long. It's going to be pretty quick in that aspect. And then just like some rewording of things, making dialogue make more sense, putting some more descriptions of things into there, just actually making the world come to life on the page. Yeah. So that's the whole storyboard thing. That's really all. It's not like a crazy huge edit. I don't think it's going to last that long. I'm right now just putting notes down on that, and then I'm going to go through and actually write it all, and I feel like that will speed up the process instead of me sitting on every page and writing it all, because I would like to make a plan just to really help that edit part go fast. Then, after the storyboard is done, I will be doing a grammar edit. Just because it's a book at the end of the day in the English language, and I just need the grammar to be good. So then I'm going to run the grammar edit, right? After the grammar edit is done, I am going to have some people start reading it, just to kind of double check the beginning. At the same time that they are reading it and they are giving me some more feedback, I am going to be prepping the Royal Road stuff. And so it'll probably be like, I don't know, it just depends on the people, but That small group is just going to read and start giving me more feedback on chapters and everything, so that if there's any quick edits I can do, I can quickly do them before dropping them on Royal Road. Once the chapters start showing up on Royal Road, you guys will have a link inside the show notes, same spot where the Ko-fi and the Spotify are. I'll probably put it, or not the Spotify, Ko-fi and the Discord are. I'll probably put it above them just so that it's easier for you guys to find. But then you can go there, click it, it'll redirect you to Royal Road, and every week I will be adding new chapters to the sections of chapters that are on there, right? We'll have probably around 65 chapters that I can choose from. I will release them in, timeline order so that nothing gets too confusing. And I think it's going to be great. I'm not going to go and release like the full ending of the book, just because then right after you guys kind of get to the end of reading everything and give me lots of feedback through comments on like the Discord. I don't know if Royal Road can do comments. I'm still checking that out. I'm assuming it can. I would hope so that it can, but right. So I'm going to get comments from there. And then I'm also going to collect comments, just across the podcast on stuff that people have told me. Just wherever I can get feedback from, I'm going to get some feedback on it. And yeah, then I'll take that, come up with a plan of how I want the book to look, and I will do a sort of like final big edit that worries about storyboard, some grammar, and like general descriptions. Once that's done, I'm going to move forward with trying to find out how to publish the book. So at this point, you guys won't know the ending just yet. I feel like that's just going to be exciting at that point, because the ending also could have changed, and I feel like it would suck to have you guys read one ending and then have it not be as exciting as it could be after some of your feedback. So, all right, then I'm going to figure out some way to self-publish the book. I'm thinking right now a Kickstarter format where you guys come in. I have different versions of the book, covers, basically. We're probably really just going to do like a paperback as sort of a cheaper option. It's going to have a nice cover art. And then obviously I'm still working on what the cover art could be. And then we'll do a hardback that has like a very nice design of the cover, kind of fancier, maybe blended in with what it could look like in Tales of Agmar, maybe not. We'll see about that. And then I kind of wanted to do like a big deluxe version that if you really liked everything, then I would put some extra effort into your copy. Because the plan is that I want, if we hit like, I don't know, we'll see. I was debating if I should sign all the copies by hand or anything. It's just kind of like my first book, and so I'm not like, I don't know. You guys tell me what you've seen from other authors. I've been kind of really enveloped in writing Tales of Agmar, and so I haven't really been able to check anything out with, sort of getting it out there and what that's going to look like or anything. So I'm open to some good constructive feedback, basically. So, anyways, let me know in your comments, and let's just get in with Aster's origin story, because that is the topic for today. So, last week we left off as Aster and her friend were trying to figure out how they would get into the A.C.E.s program, right? So they've made it all the way into the inner city. They got that one dude's credentials, cloned them, and they want to figure out the next steps to get them off of Bliss, because they're done with Bliss, right? We're going to leave the crime city behind us, hopefully get something better in the big wide universe. Now, to do this, using that guy's credentials and obviously more of Aster's hacking skills, because that's going to be a big thing. We're in the middle of a sci-fi universe right now, and computers run basically everything. So Aster runs in, she manipulates some travel logs, basically lays this breadcrumb trail that her and her friend were on a different planet, and then pass the trials on that planet, basically making them go through. She tries to make it look as legit as possible. Obviously, has some complete success with this, and that gets them onto the shuttle. Okay, now that's a problem, right? The people on Ragash are going to have extra people. They're going to have 2 extra people, and kind of wonder, where did these 2 extra people come from? So she continues to lay more of a breadcrumb trail about kind of how records got misplaced. numbers weren't right, adjust the records, all while using this class 2 level clearance. I think trying to muddle that as much as possible so it looks like really bad kept records, but still looks as official as possible, which, thanks to the bureaucracy of the Ellis Republic, isn't too hard. And really, no one's going to question anything from a level 2 citizen. As we kind of talked a little bit in Gander's story, no one really wants to mess with level 2 citizens and their families or their business, because level 2 citizens have, well, they're really only second to the Emperor and anyone right next to, or sorry, not the Emperor. Excuse me, the Chancellor and his immediate entourage. So, or retinue, depending on however you want to use those words. So, from there, they get on Ragash. Well, excuse me, I skipped one step. While they're going to Ragash, they're on a cruiser, and this cruiser runs some additional tests for the other trainees, right? So they've joined a group of trainees headed to Ragash now, and so they run through stuff like shooting drills, basic military things, some more comprehensive tests, just to, really test people, make sure that they are on class 3 level citizenship, that they're tied to the Republic, and that they are going to be able to be career soldiers for the Ellenist regime. Now, for a while, Aster manipulates a bunch of these, gets them in through them, gets some good scores and everything, not too high, but not too low to where they get cut from the program and just become Marine officers. Because that is another thing that can happen during this program, is you could just go through this whole thing on Ragash, and then you're just a Marine, like you come out as like a squad leader for a Marine, like you're still higher ranking than the grunt guys, but you aren't an A.C.E.s operator anymore. So anyways, she does that. After a while, she has to stop doing it because it gets a little too hard. They almost get found out, kind of a thing. And after covering that up and obviously showcasing hacking skills in one part, then she makes it into the A.C.E.s program, as does her friend, for year 1. All right, so year 1 is going to involve a lot of military drills. Again, this is just like a book I'm going to write in the future, so you guys are really just getting a hashed version of my notes right now. But she runs through year 1, good military drills. Her friend eventually gets directed over to communications and Psywar, which pulls her out of being a Marine. She's actually still better than a Marine, but they just find that she's not so suited to an active combat role. Aster, on the other hand, thanks to the gang life that she had on Bliss, as well as that she was able to pick up some more frontline skills, and the fact that thanks to her hacking ability, it makes more sense for her to be on the front line and not connect, like remote in wirelessly, which, is a thing that you could do. You could have like a dongle or adapter that drops into a computer and then would link it to someone else, right? Basically, they make it so that she's just going to be frontline. She has whole custom thing, etc., etc. We talk about that in the beginning chapters of the book, so you guys will be able to hear more about how that works for Aster then, so we won't cover that now. Anyways, that's all that happens on Ragash for year 1, right? Just quick review. Ragash, I did talk about it one time in the Ellenist specific episodes where we kind of reviewed some things, but basically they're going to be there for 3 years, trained to be Special Forces officers, okay? So if you notice, during all of year 1, Aster hasn't met Gander yet. They don't really run into each other. There's enough people on Ragash during year 1 that they just kind of have at it, kind of do everything, and slowly people get sorted into more specific stuff, okay? Beginning of year 2, anyone that is selected to basically move forward in the A.C.E.s program runs through a day 1 kind of pop quiz, except it's a training exercise. So it's not really a pop quiz. Well, it's a pop quiz in the sense where they didn't know it was going to happen, but it's not a quiz. So enough about me trying to figure that out. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it looked like when they first met. Okay, so we're on Ragash. It's a desert planet, and it allows them to really stimulate different kinds of environments that are hard to fight in. They've created an artificial jungle as well, and different little like training hubs that allow them to do survival skills, tactics, etc., right? So during this beginning pop quiz, I'll just keep calling it a pop quiz for simplicity's sake, they get dropped into a battlefield that's just sitting in the open wastes of Ragash, and weapons start firing at them, right? So it's like a surprise attack. They were geared up beforehand and then dropped into this. No one's appointed leader. No one's like given specific roles like they were with Gander's training exercise, but they do use like similar ammo, similar tech, that kind of thing. So it's all stuff they've used before, but no one was assigned roles. Basically, they're testing to see what the different participants do in a situation where they're just kind of thrown in with no training, to really see who comes out as natural born leaders, who comes out as more of a follower, that sort of thing. So Gander and A.C.E.s, being Gander and A.C.E.s, end up pushing forward to a point and are held down by a big weapon emplacement for simplicity's sake. Again. And Aster makes her way up to the weapons emplacement. It's like kind of like a big turret that works on an automated system. And so she hacks into it to deactivate the turret, basically making it so they can move up. At this point, Gander's kind of marshaled some more of the recruits into following him, and they are now kind of loosely following him, doing some simple maneuvers, as simple as people can do when they're not, or sorry, excuse me there. I'm a little dried mouth now. But when they are thrown into a situation. Okay, moving on from there. Once that gets figured out, Gander, they end up succeeding in the assignment, and Gander gets congratulated, etc. But he eventually then is like, okay, I want to meet this Aster girl who basically saved us, basically made it possible for us to continue, right? He's really impressed by her. So he goes, he meets her, and that's kind of how their first interaction goes. Is he's like, oh, hey, like, thanks for saving us back there. And she's like, oh, yeah, like, that's just my thing. I'm a hacker. Well, backtracking a few months inside of Tales of Agmar lore, Gander at this point in the story would have learned from his father that year 2 of A.C.E.s training involves them being sorted into squads and squad leaders. So that then during year 3, they train exclusively within their squads. They kind of start to, and about midway through year 2, they get sorted. But then midway through year 2 and then through year 3, they don't get a break this time. They just keep training, similar to a few other kinds of, special ops units where they just train for a while. Anyways, basically it's to really promote unique skills. Everyone really starts to know how everyone works before they then end up hitting the field, is the idea when the Honest Republic does this. So they're run that way. Of course, this kind of makes replacements a little bit hard because you've got to relearn how somebody works within your squad structure. And yeah, generally, if a squad dies out, they don't, like if a squad loses some members, then either that they'll like mesh some squads together, right? Because they have similar training, but they're not going to be dropping new recruits into A.C.E.s units all the time. Sometimes it happens. Perhaps we'll cover that more one day during a Honest Republic specific book or short story, things like that. I've got tons of ideas running through my head, and like tons of already like other existing characters that either don't have names or that just aren't mentioned within side of any of what I'm calling like the mainstream right now within my storyboarding of the whole universe. So definitely once this gets going, we'll have plenty to explore together. So that covers up everything that happens with Aster up until she meets Gander. I'm not going to go any more into it. And yeah, so that's all. Thanks you guys so much for listening. And yeah, I'm really excited, if you can't tell already, to have that book done and going through the editing process. I've already started some today. I edited about 3 chapters right before the cast. And so, well, not edited, but took notes on 3 chapters. And I think it's going to go pretty well. I don't think I'm going to face too many setbacks, especially in terms of writer's block, which happened a lot during that big stretch of time where I just kept telling you that the book was coming. And yeah, I think we'll be able to see a finished product pretty soon. Hopefully it's sooner than soon if I had anything to say about it. But I'm also getting to a point in my life where right now, again, just getting to a really busy section, just finishing up stuff with school. And I've got a big date around the corner. So, yeah. Date as in calendar day, big calendar day coming up. That's going to be super important, very life-changing. And I got to prep for that too. So, thank you guys again so much for listening. Again, I'm Sinjin, and I am the creator and writer of Tales of Agmar, and I just love sharing with you guys. And before I forget, the next week and kind of moving forward, we're going to continue with some of these origin stories, but I'm going to be talking more about some of the minor characters for book 1, and so they're only going to get 1 to 2 casts, and so it's going to be Castile, depending on how you pronounce it. I haven't decided an official pronunciation yet, and if you guys think when you get to reading the book, if you're like, okay, you need a pronunciation guide, let me know. I will drop a pronunciation guide in the back or something as a little tidbit, or I'll just make an online one, kind of whatever you guys think would be cool and easily accessible, because that's a big thing I want too, is I don't want this to be something that only certain people can access. I just really want it to be whoever wants to access Tales of Agmar can access it. And obviously I have to somehow get paid for my efforts, because it's taken a lot. At this point, the book has taken numerous working weeks to put together, of 40-hour weeks at this point. So yeah, anyways, super exciting. You guys don't worry too much about that right now. Let me worry about the book and getting it done. You guys just stay excited for what's coming around the corner, and yeah, I'll see you next time.